Okay, what are you saying, people? Welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen are the pairs we'll be analyzing today, but make sure you stay to the end of the video because I will be breaking down exactly what's happened this week and forecasting what potentially could be happening next week as well. So I do hope all of you enjoy the video, and with all that said, guys, let's get straight into it. Okay, so first up we've got Euro USD. So for this pair, some downside movement this week, not too much. Most of it very corrective. In fact, I'm kind of just considering this price action here just to be mainly just consolidation for me. So I'm not going to look too much into this now. After we came up and rejected this area and came back down again, I'm just going to consider this as consolidation because it is moving sideways here on the 4H. So not going to try and look to anticipate the direction now for Euro. I'm going to wait for the breakout before I do look to trade Euro USD again. From last week, we were coming into the week bullish, looking for the market to continue to the upside, mainly focus on this bullish structure that is forming here. I said potentially a higher low could form. We also had this trend line here. I was looking to see if the market will push up, form that higher low and continue. It's broken through that trend line and right now it's just going sideways. So I'm going to wait for the price to break out before I define a clear target for Euro USD. However, I'm going to give you guys the levels that I will be looking at when we finally do get the breakout. If we do break to the downside, then naturally I'm expecting price to come back into these lows here. Price is still overall in a bearish trend. If you do take a look at the higher time frames, we are rejecting this price support there on the left term resistance as well. So there is a very good chance we could make our way back down into this area. I've been looking at the DXY as well, and it's trading at a very important region, coming to a trend line and resistance. So if the DXY does hold that area, I do think we'll see some dollar weakness. But if it does break through and continue that momentum, then obviously that will take Euro USD back down to these areas. So DXY is an area of indecision as well, so not really getting too much from that. And obviously Euro USD moving sideways. So we'll wait for the breakout, either the resistance or the support to define where we're going. Break to the upside, I'm looking at 1.114 up there. Break to the downside, I'm looking at 1.082. So again, just looking for the retest. Probably want to drop to maybe the hourly or the 30-minute for some entries, just to maximize risk to reward. And same thing with the shorts as well. So yeah, Euro USD for me just moving sideways. So I'm not going to try and guess at anything. Again, DXY is not really looking that clear to me either. So I'll wait for Euro USD to make its move first. Now it's in that range, and then I'll look to get back into Euro USD. So looking for shorts if you break the low of 1.09700, looking for longs if you break the high of 1.103 for next week for Euro USD. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at USD JPY, and as you can see for this pair, we are still very much in a bullish trend here. Price is still soaring to the upside. JPY is still very weak. I was telling you guys I'm waiting for the market to shift bearish to look for some sells, but we just haven't had that shift yet. Price is still very bullish, and I have to go all the way to the monthly time frame to find an area of value. Was previously looking at this resistance, but as you can see, price is flying past that. So I'm looking at 124 next, which is the next logical place that price will come to before we could maybe see a bounce. Again, everything's bullish on pretty much all time frames, so we have to wait for the market to shift bearish before we do look for those sells. But if we can hold this, we could see some nice downside, some retracement, come back to test some areas that have been broken before maybe we continue and go and break through this area. Who knows? But I'm waiting for USD to come into that 124, 123 area before I do look to sell the pair now. We're very close on the monthly. I do believe we can see a little bit more upside for this one into this area 123, 123.500 before we do eventually sell off. So I'm going to be waiting for the market to come into this area, shift bearish, give us some lower highs before I do look to get involved and sell the pair. So again, there's not enough information for me to give you guys some clear trading opportunities. I can let you guys know that we are approaching a very, very key level. But in terms of price action, looking left, there's nothing there for us to really go by. So I've got my attention fixated on this level. We'll monitor price action. I do live stream every week during the week, so feel free to pop in for one of those streams where, you know, we'll be looking at USD. If I do get something, I'll let you guys know. But we'll be looking for shorts around about this area, and then we'll be looking for sells, you know, coming back down into these recent, you know, structures here on the left. And we do have this really nice area where price could come back and revisit. So there's multiple areas where we could look to trade into, you know, probably 119 at best, because the market is still very, very bullish on higher time frames. But again, we'll have to see how price develops for us before we do get into sells. But again, we'll be focusing on this region and see if we can get some sells back down to 119 for next week. Okay, so next up we've got USD CAD. So USD CAD, as you can see, looking very, very bearish this week, which was expected. We were looking for the market to come down into 1.25, which the market is holding right now. Well, not holding, but trading inside. There's not enough evidence there that we are holding yet, but it's in that support area. So we did see that push. Didn't quite get the retracement we were after, but we did see that rollover. And in fact, with the market looking so bearish on the higher time frames, including weekly, as you can see the lower highs and the rejection, and monthly as well, it does look like we are coming much lower, and I'm looking at 1.23 support next for USD CAD. So hopefully we can get some retracement this time for USD CAD, since we've had, you know, such a bearish move. Looking for some upside from this support, could present some nice buying opportunities. Again, a little bit counter trend, you know, taking that aggressive trade, but there could be some nice longs. But I do think back up to 1.26 we can see that retracement, and then from that resistance we'll be looking for sells all the way back down to 1.23. Obviously this will be my first target for support, because that will be our recent support, but I do think the market can go a lot further into this 1.23 area. So USD CAD, start of the week, could be some nice buys. I probably won't be interested in that. I'm probably more interested in the shorts. So I'm hoping that the market does retrace for us into that 1.26 support. And then from there, we'll be looking at sells for the market to come much lower. So USD CAD for me, I'm bearish on this one. Looking for some retracement to start the week off. And after that, I'm looking at sells back down into the support, trading at now at 1.2475 and then 1.23 for next week. Sorry to interrupt the video, guys, but if you are enjoying the content and you find it useful, make sure you go hit the subscribe button down below, and also make sure you drop a like as well. It really does help the channel out. But anyway, back to the video. Okay, so now I'm going to shift our attention to Euro Pound. So Euro Pound this week, we did see some downside. Coming into the week, I was bullish on it, looking for price to trade higher. There's two areas I gave out. Number one was the consolidation, really. The low of the consolidation, looking for the higher low to form and price to push higher. However, as you can see, we kind of broke out of that area and price did see a lot of bearish momentum into our second area around the 0.83 price range, which is this really critical support, and we did see a nice bounce from that area to the upside. However, the market is still looking quite bearish. All this bullish momentum, you know, depleted, and the bears are still looking strong and still driving price lower. You can see if I do zoom out that the market is still, it's in a weak bearish trend, but it's still giving us those lower lows and lower highs, especially on the weekly there as well. So we do have this really critical level of support, which is kind of holding the market up, and if it does break, I'm expecting price to come much lower into these 0.82 lows and potentially even further as well. So simply for the week, if Euro Pound can hold this, I'm looking for longs back up into that resistance and then further. See better, we're going to 4H. So if Euro Pound can hold this level on another retest, I would look for longs for price to come back into this resistance. Again, going to take it level by level rather than look for a bigger move to the upside, just because the market is still quite choppy and still quite bearish. So we'll look for a push into this level of resistance, but if it does break, now I'm expecting price to trade back to these lows here. And if that's the case, I'll be looking for the retest or some type of lower high that I can find, and targets will be, you know, at those lows around the 0.82 area. So that is the plan for Euro Pound. Going to see how price reacts with this level this week. Looks like we're coming into the test level quite soonish. So early on the week, we'll see what the market gives us at this level, if we're holding or if we just break through like we did back there at the start of last week. We'll be looking for those sells for a next lower high, back down to lows into 0.82 for next week. Okay, so now we'll take a look at AUD USD. So for this pair, we saw more upside this week, which was expected. We were looking for a little bit deeper retracement, but the market kind of just consolidated. You can see there with that that doji on the daily chart, price just consolidated for us and broke to the upside. I said I was looking for a bit of retracement into some of these areas here on the left, but the market broke to the upside and just kept going. Had two targets, which was this 0.745 area, which price hit quite quickly, and obviously coming back into these highs, which was the second target, which price is just coming into right now. So for me, AUD/USD is still very, very bullish, but it's coming into a very, very key level on the higher time frame. You see on the weekly, this was our last major lower high before that big dump to the downside, and now we're coming back into the same area. So I'm expecting to see some profit taking here and some downside. The market is losing that bullish momentum. Obviously we could break through, but mainly from this area I'm looking at sells for the market to come back down and retest some areas. So I'm going to be monitoring price in this area. Again, still we are quite bullish for AUD/USD, how we're moving here. There's not enough information here to jump into any sells just yet, but if we can put some nice low highs in, we'll be looking for some sells and targets. I'll be looking at is this resistance here at 0.742 and also this area here at 0.736. So that's where I will be looking to sell and target for AUD/USD for next week. But again, we do need to see a bit more evidence that that price is going to hold this level at 0.75400, just because the market is still very, very bullish, and it could well just do something like that and fly a lot higher. So we'll be looking to see if the market can hold this level. We'll be looking for some lower highs and patterns to get involved with, and these are the two targets I will be aiming for next week for AUD/USD. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to NZD CAD. So for this pair, as you can see this week, not too much. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to NZD CAD. So NZD CAD is still kind of... Okay, so now I'm going to move on to NZD CAD. So NZD CAD is still stuck in this area of resistance, very, very important area, around the 0.875, which the market is still stalling at. If we go deeper into the 4H, you can see we do have this bullish structure overall. You know, we do have this bullish trend. The market is, you know, creating higher highs and higher lows, as you can see. And we do also have this 4H bullish trend here with the highs and lows and potentially one forming here as well. So I am actually going to be looking for longs for NZD CAD to see if we can hold this area for another move back to the upside into this resistance. So we'll be looking for something like this. It doesn't matter if we slightly break through the support, as long as we don't break through and take out that low, then I will be looking for some good long opportunities back up into that resistance. If we do come and break through that area, then I will sit tight for the market to come back into this support at 0.85400. You can see we tapped into this area a few times and saw a lot of momentum. So if we do come back into this area, I will be looking for longs back to the upside. Again, theoretical targets will be back at the highs, but we'll have to see our price makes the move down, because there might be some more logical targets, such as this support here on the left, where we could target and take a profit at, rather than being a little bit too optimistic and trying to see a push all the way back into those highs. So that's the plan for NZD CAD. It's going to be looking at long opportunities from this support, or if you do break below, we'll be looking at longs for this support. But I do have a bullish bias still for NZD CAD. We still do have this uptrend here. Price still flowing. I know we're rejecting that daily resistance there, but I do think we can go and break through that. So looking for longs from this area first, around the 0.868 area. If we do break through that, then we'll look for longs from here, where we can see a really nice risk reward, but we'll have to see, you know, when we do get the setup, how things look. But NZD CAD longs from 0.868 area of support in that trend line, in that support, or 0.855 down there, and targets back at 0.878 for next week. Okay, so up next I've got pound NZD. So for this pair, still very bearish for this one. We did break to the downside out of this one. I was talking about the consolidation last week. I said that if we do break to the downside, I'm expecting 1.89 down here. If we do break to the upside out of this consolidation, looking for some areas here, 1.96, 1.965. So we did see that break to the downside. The market's still very bearish on the higher time frames, daily, weekly, even monthly. Looks like we could be breaking in a bearish trend if the momentum does continue in that time frame. So everything is still quite bearish. But we are coming to a key support here, 1.89. I do think we will eventually break through and come into this support at 1.86, 300 more or less. I do think we'll come into that level, but we might see some retracement beforehand. But that's where I do see price going in the next, 2, 3, 4 weeks. Depends how long we get there, of course. But for pound NZD, so coming into the week, there could be some nice longs from this support, very strong support, which actually sent the market to the upside, for this kind of bearish drop. As you can see, this is support. We reversed that, found the high, and now we're back at that same support. So we'll be looking at longs from this level. Again, don't have to be the first one in. See how the market is reacting on Monday, early on the week, before we do get to the longs. But we'll be looking for some upside, and then I will be looking for some downside to set it back down again, generally from this 1.925, 1.93 area of resistance, because like I said, I'm still expecting the market to roll over, and that 1.96 level of resistance support, is actually still my long-term target. So I'm still gonna be biased, more biased to the short side of things. If we do take out that resistance, then yeah, we'll probably head up to some highs up there. But as long as that still maintains, we still put those lower highs in, I'm expecting this 1.86 area to be hit soon-ish. So pound NZD, I think the start of the week see some nice upside. Again, we'll see how price action is reacting, because we could just break through. The market is still very bearish, but if we can hold this longs to the upside back into this 1.925, 1.93 area, and then from there I'm expecting the market to roll over back down again for next week for pound NZD. Okay, so up next we've got CAD JPY, which as you can see is soaring to the upside right now. Very bullish with that JPY weakness, another JPY pair which is pumping to the upside. CAD's been quite strong as well, so obviously that mix has created this massive move since breaking out this consolidation. Price has really been going. So best way to trade this is to drop to lower time frames and take advantage of those lower time frame pullbacks and just ride that momentum. No point really to be looking for sells yet for CAD JPY. I do have my mind on the sells, but as you can see, there's nothing really much on the left for us to work with. We have to go all the way to the monthly, to find something to actually take advantage of for CAD JPY. So now that we've broken through this very critical level of resistance here, our next logical target for this one will be into 99 100 level, which is this resistance here. So that's what I'm expecting CAD JPY to head to, and I'm pretty much not really looking to do anything until we get there. We're not too far away from our monthly perspective. Obviously this is monthly, it might take us a few days to actually get into that area, but that's generally the area I'm expecting the market to head to before we do see some bigger correction. Again, we could see some profit taking happening, we could see some downside, but I still believe the market's still heading up at least towards 99 100 area, and that's the area I'm going to be waiting for CAD JPY to get to. You can see we've got this trend line here which price is respecting beautifully here, very steep trend line which price is still bouncing from. So as long as we're still trading above this trend line, there's no real need to sell. Even if we do break for the trend line, it probably is the market just having a deeper retracement to push bullish. So I'm not looking to get involved for CAD JPY until we hit this area. There's not enough information for me to give you any good trading targets or trading areas to work from until we get to that level and we judge the price action from it, because again, we can still break through that level as well. So CAD JPY, not much to work with. I'm going to see how price gets here, wait for us to shift bearish similar to USD JPY, and then I'll look for my sells and I'll judge the targets from that. Again, we'll be looking at these areas here to target, but a lot needs to happen before we do get any sells. So CAD JPY waiting for us to hit 99-100 area before I do get involved, and we'll be looking at 96.50 and 95.50 for those sell targets. But yeah, a lot needs to happen for CAD JPY for me to get involved next week for it. Okay, so now I'm going to transition onto pound USD. So for this pair, not really too much. We did see a big push up, but that was quickly erased with another move back down again. I did say, because pound USD was really consolidating, at this level, I did say if you do break through this 1.32 barrier of resistance, I'm looking for price to come into 1.33. And as you can see, that's where we tapped into before having that strong reaction to the downside. So pound USD was quite bullish, but after all, kind of is consolidating right now. So for me, for pound USD, I would say I'm still bearish on this pair, mainly because of the momentum and what the market is doing on the higher time frames. But we do have this bullish trend line here, and obviously these bullish moves that are forming higher highs and higher lows, which could take us higher back into 1.33 and maybe even 1.34. So for me to look for longs, I do need to see price trading above 1.32 and above this resistance here before I do get into any longs. And targets we'll be looking at is 1.33, which is this high over there, maybe just a bit under 1.33, and also 1.34, which is that area of supply resistance up there. So for buys, I would need to see something like this happen, and I'll be looking for longs, at least into 1.33, but if things are looking good, I may target that 1.34 area. But if we do break to the downside and hold 1.32, then I'm looking at shorts back down to 1.3 on the dot, and just continue that overall bearish momentum which we still got going on, on the higher time frame. So for me, the market is still bearish, so this is the move I'm expecting to happen. But if we do see the bulls take control and see price break for 1.32, then I'm not going to hesitate to look for any shorting ideas, any long ideas, sorry, because they will provide us some good setups if that does happen. So as long as we stay below 1.32, below this resistance, I'm looking for sells. I'm not really trying to get involved in here because it's kind of just consolidation really right now, and price is just trapped between those two levels. So unless you're on the lower time frames, there's no point really trying to get involved there and guess where price is going. Wait for a bit more evidence first, a bit more information before we do get involved. So if we break to the downside, hold out 1.32, we'll be looking for that lower high, maybe on the retest or something like that. Shorts to 1.3, break above, we'll use 1.32 as support, and targets at 1.34 for next week. Okay, so up next, pound CAD. So as you can see, pound CAD still looking extremely bearish right now, and like I'll be showing to you guys in the higher time frames, it does look like this one is slowly just getting ready to break to the downside, out of this range which has been in for since end of 2019. We've been putting these major lower highs in the market, and we are starting to break to the downside. So I do think we'll see a lot more downside for pound CAD in the near future, looking at price coming into this support at 1.62. so that's what I'm expecting the market to head to, and that's where I'll be selling the market towards. Hopefully we can get some more pullbacks going coming into the week. We were looking for those sells essentially. I highlighted this area of support and this area here as well. We just about tapped into that, had some nice sells to the downside. Didn't come into that area, would have been nice, still could, but the market is definitely bearish right now as well. So again, still looking for those pullbacks. We do have this trend line forming now with these previous lower highs there, so we'll be looking for something like this to happen for pound CAD, and then the rollover into 1.62, which is our long-term targets, which we may not hit next week, but that's the ballpark which I'm expecting pound CAD to head into before maybe we might reverse trend and go bullish. But 1.62 support is where I'm expecting price to go. If we do break out of this area, which is not likely, but if we do that, I will be looking at price coming up into this area, and again, same thing, sells all the way back down. Everything monthly, weekly, daily still pointing to the downside. So if we do see any crazy bullish momentum, I'll just be getting ready to sell it back down really, and looking to target 1.62. But this is the main setup I'm looking for pound CAD. You can see the nice low lows and low highs. We'll be looking for another one to form somewhere and continuation to the downside. So that's what I'm looking for pound CAD, a retest that 1.65750 area, shorts back down to 1.62, or if we do push higher, 1.68500, and same targets for pound CAD for next week. Okay, so pound JPY looking very bullish here. So as you can see, big push to the upside past this resistance. Coming into the week, I was looking mainly at price holding this resistance for a slight pullback, for price to come a little bit lower before moving to the upside and breaking through 158, which I thought would happen probably next week. But you can see this week, pretty much Monday, I believe, stalled a little bit, and then Tuesday we broke to the upside very aggressively there, as you can see. So pound JPY pushing through that, coming into some weekly territory now. At this resistance here, as you can see, this is where we wicked into a few times, stalled before this big crash to the downside. So do know a lot of sellers will be located at this area, could see some buyers taking profit at this 162, 163 area. So again, like the other JPY pairs I've looked at, I'm still expecting these pairs to go a little bit higher first before we do see that reversal stroke, correction that we're expecting for this crazy bullish momentum we have seen. So monthly, weekly, daily for all those JPY pairs are still very bullish. So if you're getting into shorts, it's always going to be very risky. So that's why I said on those lower time frames, just buying it up, day trades makes the most sense for these JPY pairs. But they're all coming into some key areas, just a little bit more upside that needed from them. Again, not enough information for me to really pick them apart and give you guys some good analysis for targets and areas we can get involved in, apart from just keeping your eyes on this higher time frame level and then waiting for the market to shift bearish for us, and then we can take advantage of some nice sells on a lower high or something like that. And as for targets, we'll be looking at this low here and also the high, which price broke through here at, what was that, 158, 158.247. So that is where I'll be looking at taking shorts into. But again, we might not even get those shorts. Price could still be flying next week. We'll have to find out. So pound JPY, looking at shorts, we've seen a lot of bullish momentum. I do think we're getting ready to roll over soon. So we'll be looking for those lower highs to form. And when I do get them, 159, 158.241 will be the targets next week for pound JPY. Okay, so now we're going to shift our attention to gold, and as you can see right now, not too much from gold this week, mainly consolidation, but it does look like we are breaking to the upside and seeing some bullish momentum, which was expected. That was our buyers coming into the week, looking for longs for gold to push higher back into 2000 potentially. So the main area that I said if price can stay above, looking for longs at is this 1920 level, which price came to retest, held and broke to the upside there. So we are looking quite bullish now, trading above this resistance here, which was a key level, which was holding us back a little bit, keeping us in this range at 1945, 1946. And now it looks like potentially holding us as support. So for me, I'm still looking for continuation to the upside for gold. If we can come back and retest this level, that will be absolutely fantastic. And looking for continuations all the way back up to 2000. There is this level here at around 1975, 1973 to look out for, because we did form this head and shoulders here with the left shoulder, the right shoulder, and the head all the way up there. And this is the neckline where potentially price could see some resistance and roll over to the downside. We have seen quite a lot of bearish momentum as you can see there. So again, that will be a nice area to take some profit, stop loss to break even, something like that. But the main targets for gold next week is the 2000, where again we could see some downside from as well. So expecting gold to move higher. If we do break through this, then the next area I'm looking at is back at the same support for another higher low to form and targets back into 2000. So just depends where gold holds. As long as it doesn't break through this level here, I'm still bullish, looking for 2000 breakthrough, probably heading a little bit lower, and then we'll see what price action gives us. But I'm still bullish on gold. So 1945, 1946 first day of interest, second 1918, and targets back at 2000 for gold for next week. And last but not least, we've got Bitcoin. So Bitcoin still finding some life, still pushing to the upside. It broke through the two targets, actually one target that I gave out last week, which was this resistance here. The second target I gave was 44k, which we're still trading at right now. Gave a bit of a wick to the upside yesterday, but we're still holding 44k. But the way price is moving, I would no longer recommend selling at this level here. Yes, we could hold it and see some downside, but it's just a little bit risky because the market is still giving us these higher lows and is still showing us this bullish momentum. So I do think we can actually break through this and head a little bit higher. There's two areas I'm mainly looking at, which is this resistance here at 48k, well 47,500, 48k, and second 50k up here, which I do think I still do think the market's coming down for Bitcoin. I still do think, you know, 30, what was that, 31, 30? Yeah, this area, I still do think that's where Bitcoin is heading to, but I think we can go upside, put another major lower high in, you know, either one of these levels before that big collapse to the downside. I think we're just getting some healthy retracement because we have seen a lot of downside here. Getting the fib out, you can see 50k lines up nicely with that 0.5. Haven't even retraced the 0.382 yet, so I do think we'll see a little bit more upside for Bitcoin before that big collapse I'm looking for at 30k. Again, like I said, 44k is still holding, so shorts will still be looking good at that level. Dropping down to the 4H right now, all we're getting is pretty much just consolidation really. So I would probably hold back a little bit, wait for price to make its move first. You know, break to the downside, give us a lower high, and then get into some shorts. Other than that, I'll probably sit tight and actually wait for price to come into one of these areas, because this is really nice areas where I do think the market will come into, and if it successfully holds, you know, this could be setting up for some really nice swing trades to catch a big meltdown for Bitcoin. So that's what I'm expecting for Bitcoin over the next few days, maybe weeks even. But 44k is still holding, so sales still look good there. Need a bit more to get in first for any confirmations, but I'm really looking for price to break 44k into 48 or 40 or 50 for some big sales back down to 30k for Bitcoin. Okay guys, that is the end of the video. Hope you all enjoyed that, found that useful. Like always, any questions, agree, disagree, didn't understand anything, let me know in the comments and I will get back to you. Like always guys, if you are enjoying the content, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already, join the family, and also hit the bell as well so you don't miss out on any uploads or streams in the future. But I do hope all of you have a good weekend, and I'll catch you all in the next one.